So excited to see you, and you look hurt.
Wait, say that again. It didn't catch it. What did you say?
I said you look like you're about to go sailing on kind of that striped shirt, and you're on like the water, and it looks so sunny. Your hair's down. It's like, what's happening?
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I know, I like pop on. I'm like, are you on vacation? Like, what's going on? And you're bronzed and looks like
Oh my God, stop. Stop. Oh my God. Oh, woo, I got my hand up. Oh my God.
Is that you
Oh,
receiving?
what's that?
I said, is that you receiving?
It's me receiving and really just appreciate and receiving and really appreciating it, and also noticing my I'm so uncomfortable, and like just laughing because I'm like I'm so uncomfortable, and what I can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm like I'm uncomfortable, and it's okay that I'm uncomfortable. Like leaning into
totally.
yeah,
Yeah. And also just holding like sometimes we can only let 50% land,
yeah,
or 10% land, or 70% land, but
yeah.
right? But there's a spectrum.
There's a spectrum, all right. Oh my God.
You do. You look beautiful. And I just noticed immediately your glowiness. So have
Thank
to
you.
name it. And I appreciate you taking in as much as you can, you know?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Oh, so here we are, another Wednesday night.
Woo!
I
I'm
know.
excited.
This is episode 25, which means next week is 6 months. 26. I
Wow.
Can you believe it?
I remember when we started this just being like, let's see how it goes,
Yep.
not really having any idea.
Me too. Me too. Yeah. It's so exciting.
So cool.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah. I'm like, God, because 24 is your 7 is your favorite number. 24 is my favorite number, right? And so that was last week, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 25 and then 26.
That is wild. And I know we've had like little check-ins sometimes on the weekends, but
Yeah,
maybe not recorded or right.
yeah, yeah,
And just I want to hold what a commitment like that does for a friendship.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
know that might not be true for everyone, but in my experience with you, this committing, this consistency, this just learning about you, knowing your care instructions, hearing more of your like epic story of your life
yeah.
has deepened our friendship for me.
And for me,
Yeah.
absolutely, all of that. Um, it's interesting because I was just thinking, I'll tell you about my day, but I'll start with saying that, earlier, like 2 hours ago, which is not, it's like earlier, you would think I was talking about 1 o'clock this afternoon, but I'm literally talking about like 5 in the evening.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm really just feeling like I want the evening to myself. And then I was like, but wait a minute. I'm going to see my friend. Like, seriously, it was I was like, I'm going to see my friend. Like one of my besties. And and like one of the things that I'm like, I get to put on lipstick. I'm going to brush my hair.
Yeah. I'm going to show up.
And I'm going to show up. And
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter if I do those things. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be seen and loved for who I am. Like that is so
Mm.
the gift in that is I can't there are no words. It really is undescribable. Indescribable, I guess indescribable. It really is.
Yeah. I feel like almost like butterflies in my heart and a warmth in my heart hearing you say that. Cause yeah, it's like not only um, do we get this soft place to land with each other, and on a rough day it can be an anchor, it can be
Yeah.
a lighthouse.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
you've alluded to the same thing in the past a few times, and I'm like, wow, that really is very meaningful to hear
Yeah.
the other person to receive that. I'm like, wow, not only is it like music to my ears and a gift for me to hear that and receive that, but also to know that that is what I am for you. Oh
Mhm.
my God, they're just,
Mhm.
it's so beautiful. And I mean, I feel I like my heart just overflows with love. I just really feel that.
Mhm.
I really, yeah, it's
Ooh.
so yummy. It's really sweet.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's such a sweet way to start. Just the gentle on ramp of appreciation and like acknowledgement, right? Makes me wonder how many friends even start a coffee date like that.
Right.
Can you imagine just walking in and being
Oh,
like, "Oh, I appreciate you for this, this, and this.
yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you."
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
how nourishing and how healing that is and would be for others. So I'm hoping that as we do this and people are watching it, that we are modeling
Yeah.
what I believe is a great, is a way to practice
Yeah.
like honesty and authenticity and really showing up and showing feelings for another person, like exude, like having that really come from my heart to yours and yours to mine is, yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's really it's a beautiful exchange, it's a beautiful gift.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know what I think of? It's interesting because I get this vision of like being 9 years old and really excited to have a friend come sleep over. Right.
Yeah.
I've shared this with you before.
Yeah.
And something, at least for me in my teenage years, kind of built some armor, some like distance, some kind of like I need to be cool or posture or perform. I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
totally untangle it. But when I get to feel that feeling, which is like genuine, open hearted love without the fear of dot, dot, dot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that feels like the a coming home.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm. Flutter, 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 flutter. I mean, really. Yeah. Heart
Yes.
flutter, flutter, flutter. Yeah.
Yeah, my love. And how are you, as we kind of enter this realm, how are you feeling? What are you coming in with? Like, what's up?
Yeah. Um, so it's been a week where I have not had a lot of work, like client work and that kind of
Mhm.
thing. And but it's been getting filled with tasks and errands and appointments and stuff like that, like things that I need to take care of.
Yeah,
And at first I was kind of like, when I went to bed on Sunday night, I was kind of dreading. I was like, oh, because after Saturday,
right.
feeling so full and rich and like all of the yummy, just like so good, you know. And then I was like, Monday, I'm like, oh, you know,
Thunk, little
a
thunk.
little sunk, a little sunk. And I was like, okay. And then one of my colleagues, she she posted on our page, she said, who wants to do office hours? And I'm like, sign me up. Let's do office hours. Because I just get a lot more done just when I'm even on, I think we talked about this a little bit. Yeah.
Some
So
accountability
yeah, some accountability.
or group chi at least, right? Like,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Because what happens is we get on camera and then we share what it is we're going to be working on. And then we start working on it. And, we either make ourselves invisible or whatever, it doesn't even matter, but we just start working on it. And so I had a list of about 6 things that I wanted to accomplish, things that I may have been putting off for a little bit, things that just came up in the last moment. I'm like, I really want to accomplish these things. And 4 of them were phone calls. That it took a lot of adulting for me. It took some serious adulting energy for me to dial those numbers because I'm like, darn it, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then I had to write an email that was a little challenging. I'm like, but I'm a big girl. I'm going to put on my big pants and I'm going to do this. And within, I want to say within an hour and 20 minutes, I had at least attempted all of those things. I had 4 of those done, and I had messages left for the others.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't finished because, but I at least left a voicemail or whatever, And I was like, darn, wow, you did that, Heidi. And so that's important to me. And one of the things, so that's what happened today. So one of the things that I did was I've been wanting to meet with, so I don't know if I can't remember what I've shared with you about my healing, like my physical healing when I had shingles and then an RSD and all my neuropathy stuff. So there is a protocol which uses ozone gas.
Okay.
And I know a lot about it because my former used it in his practice, in his dental practice, as well as other things. And it is literally the reason I'm walking today. It's the reason I didn't lose my toe. It's the reason I didn't lose my foot. Like literally the reason I'm walking. I know. So anyway, so I've been wanting to get back to having some ozone treatments for other different things, right? But I also didn't want to have to travel far. So I had Googled this practice, which is literally 10 minutes from here.
Mm-hmm.
And his background is in sports medicine. He and his wife are practitioners. And then they have an RN on staff who does the IV stuff. And they have a receptionist. So anyway, so both of he and his wife are functional medicine doctors, but his background is sports medicine. So we talked a lot about so I met with him today. I had an appointment. He's really cute.
Oh,
He's so cute.
love when that happens.
Oh my God. Yes. And then, when someone speaks your language, like I was like, I'm an HSP. And he was like, okay, like he got it. I didn't have to, I'm like, who are you? Can I marry you? Oh my God. Like who wouldn't want that? Yeah. So anyway, but it was really wonderful speaking a language and talking about alternative methods to health that a lot of people just think are kind of kooky or out there. And we were like really vibing and it was really awesome. And I appreciated his honesty because he was just like, I think this is what's going on. Like with your skeleton, with your like just musculoskeletal, that whatever that word is, with your spine and your walking and all this kind of stuff. And he went to it like he was geeking out, and I love watching him geek out and this stuff because you could just tell. I could tell that he was loving what he was teaching me, which was really exciting. So anyway, so I'm gonna continue working with him.
Lovely. So Dr. Cutie is going to support your well-being.
Dr. Cutie. Yes. Yeah. So it just feels, it really feels good to be conversing with someone who's just like on the same page as far as the vaccine goes and is actually more protected because he and his staff are doing ozone therapy at least once a week to kind of, because what it does, it kills the virus. Ozone kills all viruses, which people don't know. Like it's one of these kind of like understated things. And the reason that most people don't know about it is because it cannot be marketed. There's no money to be made from it, really. Like you can't patent it. You can't patent, it would be like patenting oxygen.
Right. And pharma is not going to be able to make any money that way.
Pharma's not going to be able to make any money. So anyway, so he uses it in practice in a lot of different ways, and we talked about a lot of different protocols and stuff. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to work with
Oh,
him.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Just seeing you advocate for your health, advocating for a way that's in alignment with you and with someone who clearly it's their zone of genius if they're geeking out and excited,
uh,
right? So that kind of person is looking at the newest research, they're immersed, they're honing a craft way more than the person who's like, this is my day job.
right, right.
Yeah.
Because I've been there, and I think we all have with some type of health practitioner, right? Because I remember um, the last time I went to a regular doctor, I went and had my annual exam, my female exam, and then and it was a woman, and she asked me. She said, "So when was your last mammogram?" It's been probably at least 15 years because I don't get mammograms anymore.
Mhm.
I have you know what a thermogram is?
Mm-mm.
So what a thermogram is, it's an infrared camera it's really kind of fascinating.
I need to write this down when my
Write this
time
down.
comes.
Right. So it's an infrared camera, which what's the word? It tracks the body heat in every like, and the camera, depends on whoever is behind the camera, but they'll move it like when I've had my chest done, I don't know, like 6 or 7 times, and they do it from every single angle. They get a photo, an infrared photograph of every single angle of your chest, your like your lymph nodes, your like everything. And so it's not just like you're sticking your boob in a steel plate and it hurts. So
Getting a Xerox copy.
exactly. So there's no pain. There's literally no pain. So anyway, so I brought my thermograms into him to show him, and I've also had a full body 3D thermogram, and I'm going through my files, and and I can't find it. So I'm really determined to find it because it's really pretty phenomenal. So anyway, I'm all about alternative medicine. And so anyway, what I was going to say is the last time I had my female exam, which was 2.5 years ago, and I told her that I don't get mammograms, and she's like, "What do you mean?" I told her what I do, and she immediately Googles and she starts reading the conspiracy theory articles about thermograms.
In front of you?
Oh yeah, and she pretty much shamed me.
Hmm.
I know it was really not a good experience.
That
It
feels
was a good
icky.
experience. And so I just said, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm coming back here.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been back for
Yeah.
anything, for anything. So I and yes, it's money, it's out of pocket money, but quite honestly, I want to be respected. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be respected. And if you don't agree with me, let's have a conversation, but let's not shut it down with a bunch of BS. You know what I mean?
I totally. And I also feel like there's this I'm relating with my primary care physician who I no longer go to, but there was 2 or 3 years where I just woke up feeling unwell every day. Fatigue, a malaise, a mood, right? And time again, he'd do lab work and say, everything's coming back solid. You're fine. And I'm like, Bish, I'm not fine.
Right,
Like, I
right,
need you to stop saying that because I don't feel like myself. And that whole not being seen, heard, respected, all of that. And I remember my father saying to me by the third time I had done this, right? Gone to him for the third year of physicals and been told, you look well nourished, your labs are good, you're fine, keep it up, right? That he's like, why do he's very practical. He's like, you keep going to like an air conditioner, wanting it to be a heater,
right.
like, stop, what are you doing? And it got me into functional medicine, functional nutrition, even supportive things like an osteopath, craniosacral, right? Like a bigger team
Yes.
that could hold my history, that could hold my genealogy, that could hold my past lives, that could hold my daily, like what is it like living as me,
Right.
right? And then from that lens, sharing my shoes enough. They can't do it 100% to be like, I think you might need to quit that stressful job in the city. How does that land?
Mm.
Or, hey, how do you feel about giving up dairy for 6 weeks and just seeing how you feel?
Mhm.
Right? Dairy for me can be very inflammatory.
Mhm.
And then I don't have my intuition, like that channel is blocked. I feel foggy, unless it's like super raw
Mhm.
sheep, goat stuff. And so there was a sort of like, try this out and you let us know what's true for you versus I'm the authority, you're crazy, which is like such bad business MO.
Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, because you work with people on like bedside and
Yeah.
empathy, that coming from that lens is not a win for either side.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I do question how many people in general, just in life, how many people have fired their practitioner or their surgeon or a nurse by not returning to the practice?
Hmm.
Probably millions of people.
Yeah.
Probably,
Hopefully.
and the practice or the person has no idea why. They just assume they didn't want to come back. Okay. So nothing really gets repaired. And the person who was hurt, like the
Mhm.
person who, the patient who
Right.
chooses to not come back, decides to make another choice and go somewhere else and hopefully have a better experience. But there's no real learning to be done.
In terms of feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a bigger fear, believe it or not, is how many people are deferring to those doctors as authority figures and not yielding, what's the right word? Like almost stuffing their own truth,
Yeah.
right? Because you and I are a little bit more spirited, let's say, um,
Yeah.
and aware.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering for people who rely on external validation, no judgment. You see your doctor as an authority figure, they're trained, they know. Do they though? Do they know what it's like to be in your body?
Right.
Because I don't think they do.
There's no way they could.
Yeah.
There's no way
I
they
would love a machine that did where it's like they plug into you with like a little, to like those battery cables, but not so harsh. And they spent like 5 minutes just feeling out what it's like to be in your body
Yeah.
so that you can't be like, I mean, again, just killing someone's experience. Not cool.
Not cool at all.
Yeah.
No.
It's frankly in my work, it's non-relational. To invalidate someone's experience is non-relational.
Right.
And how are so many doctors non-relational?
A lot.
So thank you for the work you do to get them a little bit into their prefrontal cortex,
Yeah.
a little bit more compassionate, a little more empathetic.
Yeah.
It's gonna serve millions to
Yeah.
have a caring, compassionate support team.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. The way that I got into the work that I do with, being a standardized patient, I had an MD 20 years ago ish, 20, about 20, 23 years ago, who I loved and adored. And he was a regular GP. And I don't remember what the question was, but I remember seeing him for the first time, and I had asked him a question and he was just like, I don't know.
Mm.
I think honestly, that was the first time in my life that I'd ever heard a doctor say, I don't know. And how much I appreciated hearing that honesty from a doctor instead of being like just making something up or skirting my question or what, however they try to wiggle their way around it. Mark was just like, I don't know, but I will get back to you.
Mm. Mhm.
Like, I think at the end of the day, most of us, that's if someone doesn't have a response or an answer, it's okay. It's really okay to not know. And then to say, and I'll get back to you on that because I really want to support you and help you. And I will get back to you on that. And if I can't support you, I will find someone who can. Like that means the world to people.
Yeah, and what's coming up for me is that makes a trustworthy person,
100%. Yes.
right? Versus that wiggling energy or that shaming energy or that like, let me puff up and posture that I'm the authority here.
Yeah.
What makes that kind of person trustworthy to me is that they're human and they don't know it all. And they might need to look something up. They might need to run more tests. That is more collaborative
Right.
with a patient.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's humble. It's humble as anything.
Yeah. It really is. And it's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to see and experience because I actually, in that moment, I had more respect for him than I thought I could ever have for a doctor.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
It really
Yeah.
was. For me, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow.
So what's happening in your world?
Whew. I was thinking about this before getting on the call because my day today and yesterday have been training coaches, coaching, teaching voice, geeking out at, all that interpersonal dynamic stuff and finance, right? Yeah. And what I've noticed, and this has been ongoing, but it's becoming less and less subtle, as spirit would have it, is how treacherous finance is feeling. Like in class today, talking about boundaries, fear around building boundaries, right? This is in the deeper psychology of intimate relationships course. With all these heart-centered, curious, engaged, all of us geeking out on this zone of genius we seem to share that's relational, right? With really deep esoteric questions and like, how do I hold this boundary? And what do I have to lose if I hold that boundary? And how do I say yes to the consequences of holding that? Right?
Mm.
All of that. Juicy, juicy, juicy. And then I went to open QuickBooks and I felt my like life force energy just go.
I'm so sorry.
And I thought, yeah, not subtle. Like totally not subtle. I hear you. I can't quite step away yet because I'm responsible for your fiscal adulting sitch. And I so hear you.
Mhm.
And I have to say that really helped. Not to be like, you should be grateful you have this job or this is your bread and butter or like, but to be like, yep, when we get to X amount of clients a week, I commit to stepping away and we're not there yet. And I hear you. It makes sense that you do not want to do this now that you've done your purpose, your calling, your ministry, your life's work. I can see why you don't want to do day to day, like busy bee stuff.
Yeah.
And just to back to that piece of like giving oneself validation. I see you, I hear you, it makes sense. I'm committed to problem solving this and like hang tight, right? That's my inner dialogue.
Mm.
And my coach said, it sounds like you screwed yourself in a really good way because now you can't ignore.
Right.
You found at least one way to embody. Coaching for me and teaching for me feels like and these conversations as well. So any form of connecting and training someone in a skill
Mhm.
that I love, it feels like, oh, I feel a tenderness in my heart even just thinking up the words. It's where I resonate with love the most. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's where I am most like I am love, I am love, I am love, right? So the contrast to like, okay, brain, let's look at these numbers.
Mm.
I can still hold love. It's still nurturing an organization. I can hold that mindset. But yeah, when you find where you resonate the most with like love, the capital love, the L, right? There's sort of a no turning back point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have stumbled upon it, to have sought for it, to have explored many areas to get to this. And it's the liminal place of like, if I think of a mountain, I've got 1 foot over here in a foothold and 1 foot over here in a foothold. And eventually this foot can kind of
Uh-huh.
come over. But right now it's a little bit of
Uh-huh.
straddling a fence because I do want to be responsible. And I don't find white knuckling it to be inspiring. I'm not that person.
No.
Like the starving artist, people are like, I'm going all in. And it's like, cool, yo, but I like malfunction
Yeah.
if I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been up for me, you know. And I can't even fathom. I looked up my calendar from a year ago. I probably had 35 to 48 5 hours of finance a week. And a new client squeezed in an hour here, an hour there. Now I have 7 to 10 hours of finance a week. And it still
Yeah.
challenges me, but more of my calendar is what I love to do. And that was my commitment to myself.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, the faith walk, the trust walk, the patience of changing worlds feels up for me.
Uh-huh.
And the excitement of like this could happen in a few months, a few weeks,
Sure.
that I serve a few more people and I go, okay, now I can, you know, um, with integrity, with self regard, let go of something. It's
Yeah.
like it's almost there. It's almost there. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Take a breath, right? Yeah, it's important stuff. Mm,
I give a shit. It really matters. Yeah.
yeah. And people feel that you give a shit. And that's important. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah. Not only that you recognize it and feel it, but that others
Yeah.
also feel that energy within you. It's all really juicy and important.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. I also feel for people who are in the similar position
Yeah.
where like this is character building. This is where you really learn what you're made of. And there's like trusting it's a matter of when versus a matter of if. I've passed the if line,
Yeah.
the when line.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And it just matters. So I'm okay with it feeling,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Oi, right? My goodness.
Light banter. We're always like so surface treading. It's like, I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to transition ever so slightly.
Sure.
We did the well together on Saturday and brought our gifts to the community. I feel blessed up the beloved community in some ways. What was the takeaway for you in your own session, in the group, whatever feels alive?
Ah, a couple things.
Mhm.
Community matters.
Oh,
It matters. It's so important. And when people assemble as a community for the higher good, it's it's unfathomable what we can produce. You know what the outcome is going to be.
mhm.
Um, and I'm humbled every time I do my work. I'm humbled by it. I don't take it for granted. Um, and I'm still to this day genuinely surprised at what shows up and how much smoother information comes through, and how my work, my own personal growth work, is paying off. And because of that, it just sifts through. It's like sand through an hourglass, right? Just kind of like really easily, just kind of flowing through. I'm like, I'm here to receive it. I'm here to receive it. And then to have whoever's receiving what I'm receiving on, the third person to receive, um, for the for them to trust me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even have words. I don't have words. Um, I would, yeah, it is the deepest humility that I feel as a human when someone is receiving and trusting what I'm bringing to them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Man, I'm like holding my heart because yes to all of that. And I hear you in like how much community matters and how evident it is the benefits of community when we come together in that way. Um, and I love just hearing like you've done the work to be such a conduit, right? That it's like, oh, it's a little easier to come through now. There's a little less debris that has to filter through or whatever. I'm using my words.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm beginning to really love the word humility. It's got human in it. It's got humble in it, right? It sort of has this place of reverence and honor.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I get to do this. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add to that as after I reflected?
Yeah. I'm yeah. So I'm pretty confident that the only reason that I shared about Project Mitzvah with this group of people, so to make it more public,
Yeah.
was because I really felt held. I
Mm-hmm.
felt really held and I felt really safe in this community of people that I was working with on Saturday. Um, the space felt really right for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, and I was a little clumsy with my words, and that's okay. They came out however they came out. And um, and I also feel that my words were heard and held with reverence and in a very sacred way.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Feel the infinity loop of reverence
Yes.
in that.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm.
Yeah.
Feels like big energy. I'm breathing a bit more just to like, I don't know, circulate, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm.
And for you, dear, how was well your session as well as the whole, the afternoon? What was your takeaway? And did you have a favorite moment?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I love this. I think the first piece I know in the promoting of it, I kept resonating with community care.
Uh-huh.
There's so much on self care, and I believe we can be self sufficient and have our own backs and all that. And I think it should be, I won't say should, but it would be wise to balance it with community care. I do feel like that's what we're made for. And I was genuinely surprised at how much I needed the community care, even as a presenter, even as someone who's holding space. Um, it didn't occur to me in my mindset of service. I was like, whoever needs community care, come. And then I was there going, I needed this. That was a genuine surprise of as a self-aware person to be like, whoa, blind spot, cool, you
Uh-huh.
know.
Uh,
Um, and I think in my session, two things come up. One is it's an education none of us ever got. So it's so deeply important to me to relay as much as I can. And I notice that as sometimes nerves or like, is this too much info? That kind of a assessment quality. But beneath that is like, I give a damn that people have better relationships because I know what it's done for me to not have stuff blowing up all over the place, and to be thriving. It got me really connected to why I care so much, which is great.
uh-huh.
Um, and then seeing the depth of questions and the engagement in that session and thinking, wow, other people give a shit about this too. Like, cool. I was really touched by that we're not that different in caring about our relational world, at least those who were there. Um, and I think a favorite moment that's going to sound so corny is a Tom. I don't know why, but like the corny dad energy, I just love it. I just love the like little moments where there's levity and kind of like corniness and kind of a comfort level. Um, and then the map at the end, right, where everyone typed in what they were receiving. That blows me away every time.
Every time.
It's so life affirming. Like, yes, we did this. We gave away our Saturday in some ways with total choice, and people are resonating. People are served. People are better for it. Um, yeah, that Mentimeter or whatever it's called just makes my heart burst into like a million rosy colored pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
So as you know, I came to your session
Yep.
and I really don't know your honey. I don't really know him.
Yeah.
And what a great support he is.
Mm.
Like, oh, I've got to plug in. I realized my battery's really low.
Sure.
I was just like, he was so on it. Like the way I was like, wow, would I have thought to do that? To like just the highlights of the things you were talking about, and I was like, hmm. And would my former honey have known to do that for me? Do you know what I mean? Like I think about these things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that I want that quality.
Yeah. Ooh.
I
Ooh.
know that I want that quality, like someone who's actually listening and paying attention, like really closely paying attention. And because not all of us had a pen in hand or had paper available, right? And so, or we're kind of getting that together last minute. And then I was like, oh shit, she won't repeat this, but he had put it in the chat because you were kind of on your thing, on your roll. Not that but I was like, but there it was in the chat, and I was like, who would have thought of that? I mean, that's just, it seems, I mean, it might seem minute to some people, but to me, like to have a partner
Mhm.
who is listening, paying attention, and diligent to detail, shit, that's everything. That is everything. That just means so much.
Yes.
It
And
really
I
does.
appreciate you naming that because
Yeah.
it is, how do I put it? I used to think of love as these grand gestures, right? Like
Mm,
sweeping you off to the Kennedy Center for the Phantom of the Opera and a dinner on the rooftop overlooking, Washington, D.C. or whatever. Um, and what I have learned in this relationship is like the daily devotional quality. Could be making my coffee. It could be bringing me a blanket because I'm cold. It could be what you just shared, which is being so present to be supportive in that way. And I didn't ask for that. And it was still inspired. Um, it's this feeling, it's what I try to teach is like my partner has my back and I feel that in my nervous system
mm,
where it really matters,
yeah.
right? Doesn't mean we don't have our struggles. It doesn't mean that there isn't, more to unfold and unearth.
Mhm.
But a lot of people miss this, which is it's not the grand proposal and it's not the big amazing wedding and it's not the first buying of the house. Those are cool. Those
Yeah.
are totally cool.
Right.
And it's, oh my gosh, does this person feel like your person? Like they are considerate of the team. They're part of the team, right? Our one of our relational goals is to always be for us, which means even in conflict and all this stuff, it's like I'm standing for me, but I'm standing for you and I'm standing for us. Right? That's one of our shared agreements is, he does it, it's like I need a hug and we're in a big conflict and that soothes me. And
Mhm.
he might like that might be the last thing he wants to do because he's mad at me.
Right.
And it's still like, ah, this is a for us move
Right.
that I soothe you.
Yeah.
I really don't want to soothe you right now. I'm really pissed, but this is actually for us.
Mm.
Just that mindset is incredibly healing and reparative, and that's not to say it's like, there's the day to day chores and all that too, but
Oh,
the place I feel most soothed is
yeah.
the willingness to be a team together. Yeah, and I want that for everybody. That's why I'm realizing I'm in the dark because it's getting dark in here. um, I think that's where I'm like so damn driven.
Yeah.
I didn't have this before, and it wasn't modeled to me, and I didn't even know it was possible.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now that I'm co-creating it and fostering it and nurturing it, I want to shout it from the top of the mountain, because I really do want everyone who wants a relationship to have this kind of healthy, collaborative, um, soft place to land, right? In the relationship school work, it's considered the safe harbor and the launching pad.
Mm.
It's a place you come to replenish, to be encouraged, to feel safe. And it's the place you launch from to your dreams, your purpose, your other important things in your world. So, yeah, my heart feels like swollen talking about it, because damn, I'm blessed, you know? Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you, because I love that you are seeing in that modeling, like, yes, that please. Even though it was a small thing, right? It's the little big things.
They add up. They really, really do. They add up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Mm.
So sweet. Yeah. So we have a few minutes left. Should we go to the chat pack?
Cat pack. I feel like we need to learn graphics where it like kind of like this purple fun font swooshes in and goes chat pack. You know what I'm talking about? Almost looks like that like font in Batman that's like boom.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I do. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. What is the most dangerous thing you've ever done?
Hmm. Hmm. I'm not a big thrill seeker. I'm definitely a safety person in a lot of ways. And
Or
this might,
or is there something dangerous that you have at least thought about? Maybe I would try that someday.
yeah, this is going to sound really weird,
Okay.
but I think for me, the dangerous thing that I've thought about is getting married.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, I think the dangerous beginning was like opening my heart again,
Yeah.
learning to trust again, um, collecting good data on someone who was consistent, loving, predictable, all the stuff we're talking about with honey. And I think it's been coming to me a lot in recent weeks, months. It's like, ooh, I've been married. I did not know what that was about at 20,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
right? Didn't have the life experience,
Right.
didn't have none of it. It was like, oh, he likes me, he writes me poetry, I like him. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's different at 41.
Very.
I know what it's like. I know what I'm committing to.
Uh-huh.
And what I'm committing to is the ever unfolding of myself and another human, and the growth and the uncertainty and the I am here to be curious and to learn and to grow with you. Whether that means in 3 years you decide you want to be a pastor, right? Like anything
Yeah.
could happen,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I know that I'm thinking, like, gosh, that sounds like so weird. Some people are like, oh, I want to get married. Um, but to me, to do that again and to do it knowing what I know now,
Uh-huh.
which is far richer, far more well rounded, realistic, uh, no fantasy thinking, no magical thinking, but like the real grit, roll up your sleeves, put your hands in the soil, build a farm with someone, like really that level of um, I won't say discipline, but intention, feels like I'm pushing an edge for myself,
Yeah, it is.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if people think about that. They're like, "Oh, I'm planning my wedding," and it's like all like cakes and dresses. And I'm like, no, I'm thinking about like,
Yeah.
can I hold that frequency as part of my hero's journey,
Mhm, mhm,
as part of my like incarnation wanting to grow? Does that land? Does that make sense?
100%.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the holy shift in my world. Is like,
It is.
do I commit knowing what I know now? Which is vastly
Right.
different than what I knew at 18 when I got engaged or 20 when I got married.
Right. Right. And
Mhm.
I want to say, because it is young to get married, and this is separate
Totally.
from your situation, I think there should be a law because none of us know each other or ourselves
Ourselves, especially.
at 20. I I didn't even know who I was at 30. Like seriously, like who I didn't really start my growth journey process until I was 40, 42.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank God I made the choice to be single and to really get to know myself. It's been a process, a long
Mhm.
process, but thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also hold like life sorts itself out. Like that was me learning a lot that I didn't know. And I particularly too for my ex-husband, like a lot we didn't know. And yeah, I'm with you. There's a certain level of like, hey, your executive function and executive center haven't even developed in your brain yet to know the consequences. I feel the same about signing up for the military.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Like you're bold, you're naive.
18,
Yeah,
18.
you're
That's
bold, you're naive, and you don't literally have the receptors and the wiring set up yet to understand the consequences. So that feels harmful to me.
it is harmful,
Yeah. And I'm
especially
gonna give you,
for
I'm
those.
gonna ask for 1 second because it feels so dark in here.
Okay. All right.
And I have a remote right here, but I was like, I just need a little more light.
Especially for those who go into battle and are holding and using a gun and being shot at and shoot. I'm just like,
And who are witnessing, right? Like even if
yes.
they come out unscathed, what their eyes have seen, what their hearts have
Oh
endured.
my God. I
Mm,
can't. I
yeah.
can't. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, it's like you can't buy a beer till you're 21, but you can sign up for the military. Like,
Right.
what?
What? That doesn't make sense.
And I think, there's something so interesting about just trusting my life experience. Like that happened, I learned, and yeah, it's sort of a different approach to go in eyes wide open.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
very different. It would
What
be very
about
different. Yes. Very
what
different.
about you, my love? What do you feel? I know it's a different kind of, could be any answer, right? But like, what's the most dangerous thing you've done? And I like your add-on, or something you've been considering that feels dangerous.
Okay. So let me preface this by saying I am deathly afraid of heights.
Mm.
Extremely, extremely afraid of heights. And I love roller coasters. I know it makes no sense, but I really do. Like, I love the thrill of the climb, 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 and then the crest, and then right. I love that. Okay, so zip lining.
You've done it or you want to do it?
No, I've done it. I didn't even know. I didn't know what it was. I did not know what I did not know what I had signed up for. Literally did not know what I had signed up for. And I know this is with this is when I was with my former,
Uh-huh.
and his daughters, and we were in North Carolina. We were in North Carolina picking anyway. We were finishing a long term kind of thing for one of the daughters, and she had this is something she really wanted to do. Again, I didn't know it. I'd heard of it, but I didn't know what ziplining was. I really had no idea. Do you know what it is?
I do know what it is. I've seen videos.
Oh my God. I literally had to put myself in a different I couldn't even think about I couldn't think about what I was doing. I was because there we were in a tree on this, right? Standing on this post on a tree. We had a guide, there were four of us, and then another, and there were like 9 or 10 of us. And there were two guides. So one was always ahead, one was behind, and then they would, anyway, because they had to make sure we clipped in right and all that kind of stuff. Thank God. And I just remember the first zip, and I'm just like, how many are there? And we're going to be doing this for how long? It was a 6.5 hour trip down the mountain. I kid you not.
No.
Yes, it was.
It
Yes,
wasn't like one zip line just to get your feet wet. It was like this whole thing.
it was zip to tree, zip to tree, zip. It was down the mountain. Yeah. I think I made up swear words. Like oh my God. I've never screamed so much in my life. Ever. Like I was really, yeah, it was really something. And I would do it again.
Whoa.
I would do it again. I would. So the other thing that I haven't done, and I think I want to do, I think I want to skydive.
No, are you serious? And this is with the unknown fear of heights.
This is with a fear, absolutely known fear of heights. Absolutely. Yeah.
Holy
I
cow.
know. I know. And I'm one of those people who cannot even like a video. I can't watch a car going around like down a mountain with no guardrail. And I can't even watch those videos, but I want to skydive. What? What? What is that about? But I'm intrigued. I think I'm really intrigued by it.
Yeah.
Because everyone has said, like everyone I've not I don't do I even know anyone who skydived personally, but everyone I've heard talk about their skydiving experience has been like, oh my gosh, I want to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Here the first time, but then they were like, oh my God, it's so, it's so much fun, blah, blah, and I want to do it again. So I'm like, I'm intrigued enough.
Wow.
I'm intrigued enough to be like, yeah, I might want to do that someday.
I'm super impressed because I love elevation. I don't have a fear of heights. If someone told me we were doing multiple zip lines, I would tell them they could suck it because like I'd be like, let me do one, see how I feel. Right. And skydiving feels out of my jurisdiction. It just feels so epic and not I don't want to say terrifying, but like such an exciting level that I don't know what to do with.
Mm,
That's really cool.
yeah.
I'm monumentally impressed that would be an edge you'd want to push. Like,
I know. I know. I know.
whew,
One thing I know for sure that I don't ever, 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 ever want to do, bungee jump. Ever. Like no. It would freak me. It would just freak me out. Yeah. Yeah. No.
yeah. I never want to sleep in those like weird bed cubicles they have in other countries. It's like either at the airport, like the hourly.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, oh,
Because
I need to rest for 2 hours, and it's like a compartment that you can go sleep in, but
yeah,
it's nothing more than that. Or places people adventure, like in Cambodia or China or whatever, where it's like it's on the cheap, but like you're sleeping literally in enough that fits you. I mean, I had trouble on tour buses.
oh,
It's like being in an MRI machine. It's
oh,
like
claustrophobia.
it was like, okay, cool. I have about 2 feet above my head and another person. It's interesting because it's like it's part claustrophobia, it's part you're in my field, if that makes sense.
Yep, yep,
Like
yep.
I feel a little enmeshed, engulfed.
Hmm.
You're in my sphere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I have a big sphere. So yeah. And it is physical. It's like this feels a little trapping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's 11 other people.
Right. That ups the, yeah, it does.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting.
Hmm. Thank you for this.
Thank
I do.
you.
I feel like super replenished, which is not necessarily how I would feel at like 8 o'clock
Yeah.
after a whole day, but I
Yeah.
always feel like re-upped and nourished.
Me too.
Mhm.
Thanks. Yeah. All right.
Thank
Let's
you, Chat Pack.
thank you, Chat Pack. We love you.